Take a look at this street. This street used to have a pulse. People used to be out here going to the bars, going to the coffee shops and the restaurants, hanging out, singles mingling. It felt alive and it felt like a culture. And now look at it. And I don't think it's been just one big thing that's caused this. I think maybe it's been 100 small shifts societally that have all pointed sort of in the same direction.
Technology, economics, how we build cities, what we optimize for. Somewhere in there, it just feels like the texture of daily life just evaporated. And slowly but surely, we find ourselves here. And I think things have changed significantly over the past decade or so. So now I have to ask the question with this video. Has our culture just deteriorated? And if so, why? I can remember 10 years ago, people used to come down this street. They used to go to the bars. They used to go to the restaurants, coffee shops. They used to sit out there and mingle. One of my friends met his fiance there, bar down the street. Well, that bar's closed now. And last I counted, I think since COVID, a good 7 bars have closed on the street. And there are only a couple are left. Now, I'm not going to rule out the idea that this particular little area of town may have its own specific set of challenges. Of course, that's possible. But I know for a little while that I thought maybe energy was just moving to the other area, 1 or 2 miles down the road there, where, the artsy folks hang out. That was sort of the up and coming trendy area. But, well, the last couple of times I've been to that area, on Saturday afternoons or what have you, or even in the evenings on weekends, it's been a lot more quiet than it was. So the idea that the energy maybe just picked up and moved somewhere else, I don't think it's true from what I've seen. I think the energy just disappeared, it didn't get replaced. Now, we can talk about some statistical facts, I think, that have circulated that think many of us have seen. I think there's a widely known loneliness epidemic sweeping the nation, right? From the psychologists around the nation that flash warnings about this. There's the declining birth rates. There's the so-called relationship recession. People just aren't in as many relationships as they used to be in. You can look at drinking habits as well. Among Gen Z, it's been widely documented that drinking habits have declined significantly, beer sales down significantly. And of course, drinking is, well, it's not very healthy for you, but Gen Z just isn't going out and mingling with one another like previous generations. And you see that out on the streets because they're just not out there. And you can look, of course, as well at, well, obviously, online dating, right? That's everybody's favorite punching bag. And I think there's real criticism to be leveled at online dating. Looking at existing couples that already exist, older folks in the life, they still met mostly offline. But if you look at new couples that get formed today and from here on out going forward, statistics show that most of those new couples get formed, or at least they met online through dating apps. So, of course, why would you go outside? Why would you go to the coffee shop or the restaurant and try to mingle when most of us are meeting online? But I think it's taking away from the cultural energy of things. And of course, there are the other social medias, your Instagrams, your TikToks, and the like. People just don't seem to want to interact with one another or really have to do with one another in ways that they did before. And I can talk even about this very building that I now. I've been walking down the hall towards the elevator and I've seen, like a neighbor a couple doors down also walking out into the hallway towards the elevator. And I will think, okay, this is our chance maybe to introduce one another, like folks living next to one another down the hall. And I think you know the script here of what probably happened, right? Well, they get to the elevator and against the wall, head down into the phone. And this isn't just a one off situation that is happening. I see it over and over. In fact, when it comes to folks who are like 45 or 40 and younger than that, I would say most of the time when you get into the elevator, it's just phone time, isn't it? It's like we've sort of given up on trying to get to know one. So I think when it comes to these various trends that we're seeing, uh, there are lots of other videos that can dive more deeply into these topics. There's also the rise of online shopping, DoorDash, and of course COVID. I didn't even mention COVID, which really probably took all of these trends that we're talking about now and just kind of put them through a rapid phase of acceleration and shut down a bunch of bars and stuff that could no longer stay in business during shutdowns. And a lot of them just didn't open back up. So let me know what you think. Am I crazy? Am I just looking at one single anecdotal street here in one particular city that just has its own problems, or are you seeing it too? Is it happening in neighborhoods around you, cities that you live in? I think from what I've seen and what I've heard from around the nation that there most definitely is just a deterioration of third spaces, a lack of social interaction, a lack of relationships. And I think that video clip that I showed at the beginning of the video really kind of shows that manifestation of a society that just doesn't go out and mingle like it used to. So let me know. I'm asking the question. Am I crazy? Or is culture just kind of evaporating a little bit for real world? Let me know. Thank you.